Oh yes, it's this map. This map is fun.
Well, hello and welcome everybody to round 3. Players now fighting off to get into the quarterfinals, and Matiz and Burntcustard, two titans, will be facing off here. And we have Trident Lake, a lava, icy, volcanic, watery map. Have you ever heard that before? Probably not.
Don't forget the craters.
Yeah, we also have moon craters in here. A couple of pimples over this planet. So obviously custom made. Got a little lava world here, some ice rings and ice plateaus, a load of tiny craters from the moon, and of course some water lava lakes. Good luck wished by the players. This is round 3 in the December Deadlock tournament presented by ExodusEsports.com. I am of course Zephyr-X, and I'm joined here by Marshall.
Hello there, folks. We're just waiting for those players to spawn in. It's going to be really good because I believe the spawn area on this map is sort of, if I just sort of draw a little bit of the spawn ring there, that's about where it extends to.
So
it's huge, yeah. So you can choose between those 5 there, those 5 there. You can even spawn on the edge of the water there if you really wanted to. And on the north, it looks as though Matiz has chosen the sort of more open spawn there.
Yeah, it looks like both the players have not gone for that enclosed little concave. Maybe that'll be easier for them to defend later on. But down on the south side in orange is Burntcustard, starting off with a bot factory. Over on the north side in blue is Matiz.
Now, actually looking at it, even though this map is pretty huge, these spawns are actually pretty close on this huge planet here. Yeah. So you've got this, obviously as the crow flies, between them there is where we're going to see most of the engagements. But what Custard or Matiz could do is throw a curveball and start attacking from the side as well, especially given all the mechs over there on that ice plateau.
Yep, a lot of metal to fight over there early game for sure. And if we have a little look in general, there's a lot of metal towards the middle. It's all about fighting towards the middle and gaining map control. A lot of metal in the middle of the lake there as well, if you can control that. May even see a little bit of naval coming out, but probably not in this patch because air dominates naval so much right now.
Yeah. And Custard getting out an air fabber as well, so... Well, in fact, 3 air fabricators. That's really interesting for him. So he's obviously just going to go to random places on the map and just start claiming metal. This is something that I've heard that Custard does a lot, just sending random air fabbers to places you least expect them, and therefore get easy, cheap, and paid-for expansions before your opponent really twigs it. And the Firefly coming in there from Matiz, he doesn't see the air fabricators, so he doesn't know that that's what Burntcustard is doing.
And if you see what he's doing here as well, he's not actually doing it next to the mechs, he's doing it away from the mechs, somewhere where you wouldn't necessarily scout, and he's getting out a bot factory, an anti-air, and a turret. He's also getting out a radar at the other location, but either way, he's getting a little bit of defense from air and from ground, and then getting up a factory, which will give him so much scope for being in the right places and taking all the areas in the middle.
I think Matiz did manage to see this one air fabricator here, so he might be sending in a few scouts around. Although, looking at what Matiz is doing, he's sending docks to really random locations as well, and a few interceptors now going around. I think he realises that Burntcustard is trying to be perhaps potentially sneaky, although if you hold shift you can see all of the area commands that have been toggled by these players. They're everywhere.
Yeah, going to expand hard. Something we see from Matiz all the time is him going ahead in terms of medal income, which is what he does. He expands in multiple areas, multiple engineers, and really gets his medal up more than he actually needs, so that when he loses some of it, he still has some redundancy. Docs here has just come across this air fabber from Custard, and he's in range of the air fabber, but he doesn't shoot it down. That's tragic. So that air fabber is actually going to get away. But relatively lucky for Custard. He is, however, got these spiders coming in just in range, and they see him.
Yeah.
Great pickup from Matiz, an important little pickup, because Custard is planning on being behind for a little bit until he gets these factories up and can start building mechs really quickly from them.
Yeah. I must admit, when I played on this, I went and put factories all over the map. I just built mini bases everywhere, and my opponent just had to attack on so many different areas while I was building up armies in so many different places that I could just ultimately get the surround on them. But all the bot heavy play so far is really surprising me. I'm surprised we're not going to see transition to vehicles just yet, but then again I suppose the size of the planet docks reign supreme. But certainly mid-game we'll probably see some vehicles pushing in between these two players now.
Yeah, raiding coming out from Matiz as he sends a couple of his bots around to the back of the base. Luckily, the engineer from Custard hasn't been seen, but that mech will go down. So that's still a nice little win. 5 docks is just about enough to kill them quick enough before you can deal with it, unless you're really ready for it. But because he sees the mechs there, he knows there's got to be an engineer close by.
I was just going to say there was a little exchange here and now. There are docks dancing in the water, and of course docks can't shoot in the water, so Custard manages to get away with the 1 docks. Oh wow.
Yeah, it looks like Matiz just doesn't notice, walks straight past. And oh, will this 1 docks punish Matiz and take out that engineer? He's close.
I don't think he'll see it. He doesn't see it.
He doesn't quite scout it. That was close though. That was close.
It's good that Matiz is just sending docks all over the place. This is quite similar to what Matiz likes to play, to be honest. Matiz adores moons, and this is pretty much a moon with the odd no-go zone, really.
Well, there's quite a few more obstructions than a moon, but I know what you're saying. It's very bare and very open in general.
Yeah. Like, between the localized
areas, are large. They're not
yeah.
like loads of small choke points everywhere.
Yeah.
And it is a pretty big planet, which is something we don't see too often. Burntcustard moving into the middle, trying to grab all the mechs that are there with an air fabber. Obviously a little bit risky. Matiz seems to have the air control right now. He just has fighters all over the place, giving him intel. Bots, however, moving forwards from Custard. Big little group there. Nothing really to defend from Matiz. He's getting up a double-barreled laser there, which will help. A couple of walls will help even more. Getting up double-barreled lasers in the middle as well, where he's building those mechs. That'll be a lovely area for him to control. He currently leads 169 to 113 mechs. So nice lead in terms of medal early game right now.
Yeah, a really good lead there, and we're starting to see a few bits of Air Force forming up, although I think Matiz has more interceptors there than Custard does, whereas Custard does have the bomber. Hopefully it won't get taken down. It's on the cusp of doing so there, as the interceptors try and distract, but unfortunately... Oh wow, it does manage to get away. That was fortunate there from that bomber from Custard.
Gets away temporarily, and taking out that engineer is a nice little win.
Yeah. Could Custard move up into this little enclave here and take out that? That's the question. You know, instead he's going for the mechs, and he's going to reveal himself and get that bomber destroyed.
5 pretty safe mechs there. Walls and a laser defense tower. If they get some anti-air, and then that's pretty much safe as houses. Nice little solid area to be able to control.
Good for Matiz there. He's actually stopped Custard from expanding into there with on his own. So he's taken the eco and denied Custard the same. So that was good moves there from Matiz, just going for these, you know, one-ups, if you will, in as many places as he can. And wow, he's just done a massive area patrol with all of those interceptors. Wow.
Air fabbers over here under risk from Custard, as fires are going to come in as Matiz notices, and he's going to start rebuilding on these mechs that have been built. And all of his fighters heading over to that area. We can see Custard beginning to pay off with engineers coming out of that factory he built such a long time ago, just over here. There we go.
Thank you.
Bombers also coming out from Matiz, going to put in work on these mechs that were built by Custard. Custard actually overtaking Matiz in terms of medal, because he's expanded in so many areas right now. If he starts losing these mechs, he should be just about behind him again. Docks coming over there from Matiz will help give a whole load of DPS to take care of them nice and quick as well. And Lone Fighter takes out the engineer before he finishes the mech, so nice little pickup from Custard. That paid off for him.
Now, something I know that Custard did when he played against Matiz on the Lava Planet as a sort of practice game before the tournament, he tried to build a sneaky teleporter as a distraction so that Matiz would send all of his air forces over there to deal with it while Custard got a bomber snipe in. Unfortunately, it didn't work for him because he mistimed it. However, I'm thinking because he's producing quite a number of bombers at the moment, he's got 3 there, 4 in fact, sat around. In fact 5 there, he might potentially be considering that in a sort of long-term game, but they're all at risk there from the interceptors of Matiz, and they are going to get shot down there. with the massive air superiority that Matiz currently claims.
But he's doing a great job right now, currently just camping around the main base, trying to get rid of whatever fighters he can, taking a little bit of extra fire from the commander there, but his docks are raiding all over the place. He's splitting them up into really small groups, so they're just everywhere. They're a pain to find, and they're a pain to hit with all the bombers. So just making things very, very, very awkward for Custard right now. Custard trying to defend this little enclave, getting up a whole load of factories actually, so that he can produce units to defend and use that as a staging ground a little bit later on.
Does manage to save the radar there. That's pretty good there, considering that provides coverage of a really large area around there, comparatively to the size of the planet. So he'll be able to see when he's potentially being harassed there. And it looks as though he's actually going to be able to successfully establish a sort of mini base there, which is really good. Having a look at that ping there that you just put up.
Yeah, units coming forward. He's going to take care of that expanding engineer for Matiz and could potentially do a little bit of raiding right in Matiz's lines right now. You'll need to send some bombers over there to deal with it. And Matiz got a small medal lead right now, and similar on power between the two as well. Very little between them. Both players expanding out to the opposite side, near these little volcanoes, and expanding around all the metal that's available to them there.
Custard could potentially get a cheeky fabricator kill here as he moves in his docks. He does manage to see it, and he's probably going to move in on there as well and take out that fabricator. It does go down. I'm looking at Matiz's factories. He has got so many air factories. It is ridiculous, and he has 19 factories to 16. Although he is behind on unit count, and I think that's probably because of Custard's docks. But all the same, Custard is much heavier on bots than he is on air, while Matiz is just so heavy on air. He could, if he wanted to, with his air superiority, is really transitioned to bombers now, and potentially go in for a snipe. So.
I think at this stage, because he hasn't seen any vehicles, he isn't actually at risk from ground anti-air. So it's absolutely fine for him to go for this many air units. It'll work out okay for him. He loses a lot of his fighters. He goes into a bigger group there. Completely splitting them up was a very bad choice. If he'd stuck them together, he would have been okay.
Yeah, I think that was poor timing.
In that confrontation. A little bit of action happening on the other side as Custard has all of his docks over there and all that docks production. He can start raiding all these areas from Matiz and trying to capture it for himself as Matiz now takes a 50 medal lead, almost 50 now.
I can't say it was a good idea to do a massive area patrol of the interceptors over there that we saw before, because they were just sort of rooming in one by one to the air forces of Custard, so they were losing out there quite badly. But moving in over the base there, wow, an engagement and a half. But Matiz does manage to come out on top again. He doesn't want to go over the commander just yet, and there is the anti-air in that base as well that he doesn't necessarily want to. He
mostly dodges the anti-air there and still gets the better end of the stick with more units. And now he has dominant air control. Now that he's got rid of all those fighters, it doesn't even matter if it was a one-for-one exchange, because he then gets map control and air control from that. So it doesn't actually matter. And with all these bombers, he can easily take out all these raiding docks before they do any real damage. As long as he gets up some radar, maybe. A load of T-bomb radar all over the place. Give him intel against this will probably help. And Bomber's now going to focus in on this big group of docks. And there goes that group of docks.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Instantly.
The other group of docks does manage to get 2 mechs on the other side, so they at least get a pickup in exchange for those 2. And now more bombers coming over here to deal with them, and docks are also ready to defend. Out come those bombs. Great spread out with the patrol move from Custard there on all of his bots. Doing the patrol move spreads them out, so they dodge all of the bomber fire that did come in at them. Nice little dodge there. And more air units coming in to try and support, but he is outnumbered. These fighters, and he's fighting over the commander. There's going to be a couple extra losses as well.
But that's a lot of bombers there from Matiz. He splits them up from his interceptors. Custard could go in and take a bunch of those out. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite take advantage. He loses all of his air units. Yeah. And now that's a significant number of bombers that could go straight for Custard's commander. I think they're probably going to try and defend against this group of docks just before they go in for that command. Nope, they're just going to go straight for the command. Nope, they are going for the docks. Are they going for the docks or are they going for the commander? They need to make their mind up. They're going for the docks. There we go. But I think once they have taken that out, they'll probably go straight for the commander. They have the whatever it is required, critical mass. That's the word I was looking for there. I think it's too dangerous. There is some ground anti-air in the mix for Custard. He doesn't have enough. More ground anti-air going up. I think Custard knows just how much risk he's in. He's going to keep all of his fighters in his base. He's not going to get in a fight. He wants him to fly over his anti-air here. He's actually going to go in for the snipe. He doesn't have enough. He won't pull this off. No.
He won't pull it off. He takes him down to 50. He's not going to come in for a second swipe. Gets taken down. He loses all of his air now. He barely moves it out in time. Still losing more and more air. He lost so much, and he only took the commander down to 47% there. I do not think that was worth.
No,
he could have
perhaps
raided
not.
every bit of mechs all around the planet, but instead he's currently trailing on metal and on power and being attacked in the back of his base from some docks.
Yeah.
Do not think that was worth.
Although those docks haven't actually destroyed very much. They've only taken out one mech's about to take out a second. No, they don't take out a second, so they've only taken out one mech's. That's not a really efficient raiding force. Meanwhile, actually, we see over here, they're taking out, from Matiz, doing a much better raiding of Custard there, taking out that entire enclave of mechs over there. But Custard, this base here is really a powerhouse for Custard stocks production, and he's building another one in a crater.
Yep, interesting. I think Matiz needs to lick his wounds here and make some better strategic choices. Rebuild all these mechs that he's lost, and start moving around the map, getting rid of any of these groups of docks. That's what he's doing now. He still has the air advantage because he has so much production, but there's still an opportunity here to make sure that Custard doesn't start taking map control and getting a little bit more solid.
I don't think Matiz needs to worry too much about the expansion at this point. He has so many air factories compared to Custard. He's got 31 factories to Custard's 23. And his air force, like we saw it a minute ago, was completely decimated, and it's already at pre-decimation levels. So all he needs to do is just go in again and just keep whittling down Custard, but he needs to make sure his approach vector is such that it doesn't take him over all of the anti-air. So if he comes in from the south at this point, that'll be much better than if he comes in from the north.
At the moment, Custard actually doing a little bit of raiding on Matiz's base. I wonder if he could get off a good Uber cannon, but I think the bombers are going to do the work.
So many bombers there. The commander just saying, "Oi, I don't like you. Please be gone." And the docks were gone.
The commander from Burntcustard being repaired by a combat fabber won't cost him any power and take him up to 63% already, and he's built a lot of anti-air in his base. He needs to protect from another snipe attempt. Are we going to go in for another snipe from Matiz? This is going to be a big snipe, and in it comes.
What we see is possibly a counter snipe from Custard, because Matiz's entire anti-air is not in his base, so Custard is actually in a better situation to snipe than Matiz, but he does manage to get plenty of bombs off.
It's not going to work.
Oh,
it is.
wow.
Oh, he's so close. He's at 8%.
Oh, that's it. That's the GG. Oh, wow.
Gets it.
Oh, I think Custard,
I didn't think he'd make it. He lost a lot in
close.
the first strike, but the problem was he didn't attack the bombers first. They attacked all the fighters. The fighters tanked so much damage.
In the PTE, of course, that is no longer the case. Bombers are prioritised.
Bombers aren't prioritised.
No, in the PTE, I'm saying.
In the PTE, they're only prioritised by ground anti-air, not by fighters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah.
I don't know
that
when
makes
that's
sense,
being
I suppose.
changed. I'm trying to poke it towards that direction, but I didn't think he'd make it, but he did. I still think it's because of the tankiness of the fighters, though. They would have been vaporized if the fighters hadn't tanked so much. Because he couldn't see the commander. He came in all at the same time, lost quite a lot, and then focused in on the commander. And his fighters took a lot of flak. Wow. He'd actually lost all of his bombers as he dropped the bombs to finish off the commander there.
Yeah.
He didn't have any bombers left.
So if Custard actually had had that group of air that he had out of his base,
he would not have got sniped. He wouldn't have had a second pass. That's the problem. He wouldn't have had a second pass. He only had about 5 bombers on the second pass, but they dropped their bombs and that was enough because he was on like 7% or 8%.
Although to be fair, even if they didn't have a second pass, if you look back at Matiz's base, he'd already sort of started getting up another, air force there. So it's just sort of wearing him down over time.
There was a lot of anti-air there.
There was.
Anti-air.
All the same, GG Matiz claims the win.
Indeed. And Matiz goes through to the semi-final.